Okay, so now you've got the content. Let's do some practice with some applications of describing reactions. So in each one of these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a sentence or two. For example, when sodium metal is heated with chlorine gas, it reacts to produce solid sodium chloride. So if we need to pause the movie for a moment, let's pause it so that we can copy down this statement. All right, so now that we've got that done, so what we got to do is we've got to write down first a word equation. So the WE stands for word equation. So I'm going to start by underlining all the reactants with red. So when sodium metal is heated, okay, so that means I'm starting with sodium metal with chlorine gas. So those are materials we're starting with. Those are reactants. It reacts to produce solid sodium chloride. So products I'm going to underline with purple. Solid sodium chloride. So if you want to make a color coding of something similar, that's entirely up to you. Highlighting, whatever you'd like. So the word equation. So to make sure it fits on one line, we're going to end up writing words and then we're going to move down on your line pages. So sodium metal plus chlorine gas produces sodium chloride solid. Now if we want to show that heat piece, that's this thing right here, the way we do it is we, over the reaction arrow, we write a triangle. Just like that. All right, so that is the word equation. Now we're going to move on to the skeleton equation. Skeleton equation draws on all those skills of converting names to symbols. So sodium metal is just the symbol Na for sodium, and the subscript in brackets S. Plus, chlorine gas is one of those elements that comes in pairs, so Cl2, because it's a gas, in brackets G. Reaction arrow with that little triangle on it for heating, and then the symbol for sodium chloride. So remember that sodium is +1 because it's in group 1 of the periodic table. Chloride is -1 because it's in group 7, so it needs 1. That means we got one of each. So it's going to be NaCl. And because it's solid, it's an S. All right, so if you need to get anything else written down, pause the movie here, and on we go to the next slide. So, our next example. Carbon monoxide gas can be made by burning methane gas with a limited amount of oxygen gas. The only other product is water vapor. So let's identify the reactants. So in red, methane gas is a reactant because it can be made by burning methane gas with a limited amount of oxygen gas. So those are two reactants. A product, this time around in the sentence, we're starting off with a product. Carbon monoxide gas can be made, so we can make carbon monoxide, so that's a product. The only other product, okay, great to know that that's a product, is the water vapor. So this time around we have two reactants and two products. So our word equation. So I'm going to start with the first word for a product, or sorry, reactant. So that's methane gas plus oxygen gas. Produces, so I'm going to list the first product we've got, carbon monoxide. And that's a gas plus water vapor. So that is our word equation. So we're going to move on to the skeleton equation. Skeleton equation, as before, we simply convert all these names into symbols. So methane, common substance, CH4. That's a gas. plus oxygen, that's O, and it's one of the elements that comes in pairs, so it's O2, and gas, produces carbon monoxide, molecular compound, so we can just look at the prefixes, no prefix on the carbon, so it's just C. The prefix mono means just one, so it's CO, gas. Plus water, common substance, H2O, vapor means gas. So again, if you need to pause the video, this is where you do it. And going on to the next slide. So the next slide, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a moment to copy down this sentence, and it would help if I could spell the word testing correctly. So you're going to copy down, as we discovered when testing for gases in the skills unit, heating sodium bicarbonate, or baking soda, produces water vapor, carbon dioxide, and leaves behind solid sodium oxide. So I'm going to give you a starting point with this. I'm going to help underlining the reactants and products. So heating solid sodium carbonate, that means we are doing something to it. So sodium bicarbonate is a reactant. We see that it produces, so that means produces means we get a product. Water vapor is a product, carbon dioxide is a product, and it also leaves behind solid sodium oxide. And when we did the lab, you discovered that water vapor and carbon dioxide were gases. So based on that, you should be able to get the word equation and the skeleton equation. So again, if you need to pause the video right now so that you can get that copy down, now's the time. And on to our last example. So, last one. In order to clean tarnish, and tarnish on silverware has the symbol Ag2S, which is silver sulfide. From the silver, it can be placed in contact with aluminum metal. All right, now, this one's probably the toughest because it doesn't tell you one of the products. That's going to be the tricky part, because we can see that the silver is going to be a product from the silver sulfide, and we've got aluminum metal. So this one's going to be a little trickier, but you can puzzle out that it's got to have something to do with this aluminum and that sulfur. And that's the end I'm going to give you for that. And again, you're going to write the word equation and the skeleton equation, and we will take this up shortly, like next class. All right, so pause the video if you have to right here, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.